Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another debate show. Like, listen, man, I've got some good friends on today. We want to discuss the top five South American players in the Premier League. Within the Premier League era, don't just pick around the world, guys. Within the Premier League era, who are the top five South Americans that have played? I've got a Culture Cams, James Redmond, Ashley Williams, and myself, Joel Beya. I'm going to be hosting. So, before we get started, I'm going to read out the list. We've got here Valencia, Mascherano, Agüero, Suarez, Fernandinho, Tevez, Sanchez, Firmino, Edison, Alisson, Coutinho, Zabaleta, David Luiz, Gus Poyet, Gilberto Silva, Forlan, Crespo, Willian, Veron, and Oscar. Now, there might be some that have been left out. I want you guys to let me know if there should be some honourable mentions or not. But your job is to pick the top five. Cam, I'm going to start off with you, mate, because you seem to have some sort of attitude about this whole thing. I want to know what you're
I don't have no attitude towards nothing. I mean, the thing is, what I want to know is, how are we doing this? How are we doing this? Because are we talking best players, or are we talking like greatness? Because greatness and best could be separated. You know what I mean? Because you can start bringing in titles, you can start bringing in longevity and all this stuff. Or are we talking about on their day, who would you take? That's what I need to know. Do you know what I
It has
mean?
to be a mixture of both, because if you're just talking titles, then it takes away from some of the brilliance that another player might have had despite a short period of time being there. So there has to be a time. And you guys watching in the comments, you have to let us know who you're going for, who's your list. You know, we've got the expertise of someone like Ashley Williams, who has played. He's played against a lot of these players. So, you know, we're not just going to be saying, yes, Ashley, you're right. But we want to lean onto your expertise as well. So, Cams, if you can give us your top five, but also let us know who you think should be on the list.
You guys missed out Fred, innit?
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. Let me go. I've got Agüero 1. I think.
Why?
I think if you're talking his goal ratio, the way he's in the Premier League, the great moment, he's got the greatest moments ever happen in the Premier League with the 93-20. The consistency that he showed constantly, probably a top 2 striker in the Premier League in his whole time in the country. His ratio, I mean, he's third to Wayne Rooney and Alan Shearer, highest goal scoring foreigner of all time. So I think if you're talking about real South American brilliance in England, there's no place to start better than Agüero. And how many titles has he got? 4 or 5? He might even have 5 titles. So yeah, we're talking about a champion. We're talking about an all-time great scorer. And you can arguably even say he's one of the best. Forget South Americans. He's probably one of the best players to ever play in the league, regardless. So, and I'm sure, Ashley, you've probably played against him a few times. I'm not sure how successful you were against him, but
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, this is the I got him down as my number one as well, and I remember my debut in the Premier League. Just got promoted for Swansea. Monday Night Football. He just got signed for City. We was drawing 0-0 at half time, so we've just come up small club, and to be fair, we popped City as well, so we felt nice about ourselves. 0-0 at half time at the Etihad, just come into it. None of us have played in the Prem before. So they make a substitution at half time. So he comes on to make his debut. I don't really know too much about him. Cut a long story short, we lose 4-0. He's got 2 goals. And he was like a whirlwind. And from then, I was like, "What? Who is this guy?" Like, he was just so sharp on his debut. So sharp, so fast, so like intelligent in a new team for him. He banged one straight over my head. The other one, he made a mockery. And I think he set up someone as well. And as everything that you just said as well, from what he achieved from that day, from his debut right up to the end, he's one of the greatest, regardless of where he was born, in the Premier League of all time for me.
Did he do a particular move on you? Is there something that you remember that you just thought, whoa?
No. Do you know what? Like, in general, he didn't really have anything that you'd go, he was amazing at that. Like, he wasn't that quick over a big distance. He could shoot, but so can everyone. But he was just so clever, and he was fast over like 3 or 4 yards. So you couldn't ever, if he outfought you, thought it was finished for you, and he was lethal, clinical. He was like one of one. If he has a chance, it's probably a goal. He doesn't miss many goals. Just the consistency of being, a 9 out of 10 week in, week out. And yeah, he was in a good team and he had a lot of service. But we've seen other players in good teams, strikers that don't, have the kind of goal to shot ratio that he has. So, and that day was, I feel fortunate that that was my debut and I remember it for two completely different halves. And he was the difference in both the halves because we played that City team. They had Yaya and all them boys in there. And we was feeling nice. We got into the dressing room at half time a little bit like, what sort of the big talk about the Premier League? We just come up and they couldn't get the ball off us. And he come on and just made a difference. It was just bang, bang, goal. And the story was over. We lost 4-0, just clinical.
James Redmond.
Going on, brother. How are we, son? No, I'm just glad I didn't have the experience of facing Agüero because I like my ankles and quite frankly, I wouldn't want some Argentinian fella taking them. No, do you know what? I've got to go with Agüero as well, man. I've got some fairly decent, to say the least. Cams might disagree. Agüero, I feel like he's undisputed. When we've got a man on this show who's came up against the man and he tells us how good he is, I feel like that's one bit of substance. But even if he wasn't here, I think you know that anyway in terms of what he's achieved and what he's done. It's absolutely massive in terms of trophies, titles, the importance of what he was to them Manchester City teams. It wasn't like he was just another player. He was still the main man at the end of the day. So when I look at it, I do think he's one of those just top class players in terms of achievements, the way he plays, the numbers he gets. So no matter what category you fit in terms of what type of football fan that you are, he fits all the categories. So either way, I think the fact that he fits all of them, he goes number one. I think you're going to get the least debate from all of us in this one.
That's good. All right, so Cams, going back to you, we're picking the second best South American player to play in the Premier League.
You know what? I don't think people are going to agree with me on this one. This is a tough one. Because I like excitement. This one's a bit of a boring choice, I'll be honest. And this one is more because of I think he's so underrated in his job. So I'm going to go Fernandinho. I'm going Fernandinho number 2. I know there's been some better players overall, but let me tell you why I'm going Fernandinho, yeah? I think his importance to Man City has been so overlooked until probably his last few years when somebody says they're about to retire and you're looking for a replacement, blah, blah, blah. That's when that person's role starts to be kind of highlighted. And I think that 4-4, he played initially in a 4-4-2 with Yaya Toure. Let's not forget, Yaya Toure, he used to get forward at any opportunity. They used to say Yaya's lazy defensively. Fernandinho would hold down the ship. He's such a clever tackler. His cheap fouls that he gives away stops counter-attacks consistently. Every single time you think you're going to hit City on the break, Fernandinho's there. For some reason, a referee never books him. He can get away with 10 fouls per game. I don't know how he does it. But I just think his importance to Man City in this spell of when they became the dominant force in England is often overlooked because you look at KDB, Silva, Yaya, Agüero, and these players. But the rock in that team for so many years was Fernandinho. And I think
I'm not disputing that he's a rock, Cam, but Rodri's come in and just kind of like,
but listen, this is Pep Guardiola. Do you know what I mean? Pep Guardiola won the league without Agüero up top. It doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? He can put a false 9 up there. So are we going to diminish Agüero's greatness because Pep continues to win?
That's a good argument.
Do you know what I mean? So I just think, listen, there's been better players, but this is where I say, what is it with the criteria? But I think through his longevity and his class amongst the years and how I feel like he's so overlooked and overrated, I'm going to go Fernandinho number 2. I think he's unbelievable, honestly.
Surprised you ain't got Willian in there. But go on, Ashley.
No, I got Fernandinho 3 just to tell you my number 3 for all of those reasons. Like he can't be overlooked at all. Like, and I think that Fabinho does a similar job, but it's so important that just touching on Fernandinho that when they got all these good players and they're attacking and everything, he puts himself in the right positions where when the other team try and clear the ball, it falls to him every time. That's not by chance. That gives the momentum. You can't get out against City because every time you clear it, he's picking it up all the time. But For my number 2, I got Luis Suarez.
See, that's my number 3.
He's
Okay.
on it,
Come
lad.
on,
He's
man,
on it.
Luis
You've took me
Suarez.
top 3, lad. You've took me top 3, bro.
Suarez.
Luis Suarez.
This is my thing, though. Suarez, for me, is one of the best players to ever play in the league. Like, I think there's 3 players who have been on an untouchable level in the league. Yeah, Suarez, Ronaldo, and Henry, in my opinion. But
I didn't know you brought Michael Owen onto the show.
No,
Stating the obvious.
He was too short. It was too short, man. He did it for about 2 seasons properly and got going. It was too short.
No, I'll give you that. But listen, when you played against the geezer, it's long enough.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. So it's a long night,
lad. Yes.
It's a long. Do you know, like I think we played Liverpool for Swansea and we won, right? And I can't remember. The game was out of sight. It was 4-1 or 4-2 or something at home, and it was like 86 minutes. And this was when we was playing up front with Andy Carroll. I think it's Kenny Dalglish was the manager that year. So he weren't so big. And it was like the game was out of sight. It was like 86 minutes, a hot day, yeah. And he was chasing down everything. And I said to him, "What?" I said, "Oh, come on, man, just give it a rest now. It's done." And he was after it, yeah. And then it went on and on and on. And the players that I know in Liverpool would tell me that this guy wouldn't have a day off. This guy, like, if he played on the Saturday, everyone knows on Sunday you're going in for massage, just go and stretch, do whatever. They have to force him to stay inside. His work ethic is ridiculous. He would get at you. He's the hardest player that I've ever played against. I've played against some top ones. Wow. The most difficult, obviously I put Agüero 1 for what he achieved, but the most difficult player I've ever faced was Luis Suarez. And we seem to always get Liverpool in the cup. Always. I played against him loads of times, loads of battles, and we'd have it off as well. He loved it. So I loved it. He loved it. A little bit of narkiness as well. And he'd just be getting at you all the time. Quality, technical ability.
Harder than Ronaldo? Harder to play against, harder than Ronaldo?
Did you play against Ronaldo?
Listen, yeah, but only one time. So I can't. So I played against Suarez lots of times. I'm not. So I can't really. It's not a fair thing for me to judge. But I played against Suarez so many times. When they ask who's your hardest opponent, I always say Luis Suarez, because it don't matter if they're winning 10-0 or you're winning 10-0. He's getting at you, and he had that mad thing where he'd like run at you, bobble it off your leg and his, and get past you. Yeah,
he finds a way.
He was an animal. He was an animal, and it was difficult, and I loved it. And when I look back, that kind of battle was the one I look back at and think, yeah, I enjoyed it the most because it was so difficult.
Redmond.
Listen, I'm the Muppet who literally just got out the shower from the gym before we done this with a Liverpool flag in the background. What do I know? But in my opinion, do you know them 2 years that Cams were talking about before? And this doesn't put him above Agüero, hence why I put Agüero my number 1. But the reason why Luis Suarez goes my number 2, was there ever a season that Agüero had that was that level of Luis Suarez in 13-14?
Not for me. I think peak Agüero is better. I mean, peak
furthermore, furthermore, how many players have had a season like that? Because, listen, the Divvy got himself banned for the first few games of the season, but then once he came back, he missed about 7 or 8 games. And he still went ahead and scored 31 goals, which, by the way, is 1 goal off the Premier League record, which is held by Mo Salah. But Mo Salah played most of the games. And again, let's talk about what Luis Suarez actually done. Norwich City have nightmares still to this day. They haven't been able to stay a regular Premier League team since, really. On top of that, when you look at the players that he take on, the fact he was good from set pieces, the man would take corners for us. How many number 9s do you see taking corners on a regular basis? It's because he was good at everything. His passing was off the charts, his goal scoring ability, his level of finishing, his dribbling. I think even from when he, going outside the Premier League, but when he went to Barcelona, I think what he's established himself as over the last 10 years is the 3rd best player outside of Messi and Ronaldo. That's my opinion, and it's a whole different conversation. But I think it sounds when Ashley comes out and literally says, yeah, Luis Suarez was my most difficult opponent because he's literally the top 3, top 4, top 5 greatest players of the last 10 years. And stylistically, players are more of a harder match for some people than what for Ronaldo would be. But Ronaldo was insane, but Suarez was absolutely immense them 2 years. That's why, for me, it was enough to put him number 2.
I understand that. I can't really argue because Suarez is one of my favorite players, and I agree with James in terms of I think Suarez at his best is better than Agüero at his best. That's what I think, and I do agree. I think he's the best 9 of this generation, in my opinion. Like, since he's gone to Barcelona and everything, so can't really argue it too much. But I definitely wanted to put some clout onto Fernandinho because he doesn't get enough of it, man. Honestly,
don't back. You said Fernandinho. Make sure.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Fernandinho too.
With your chest,
I'm sticking with Fernandinho too. Yeah, I'm sticking with that.
Cool. Let's go for your third one then, Cams.
Third, no, I had Suarez third. I think Ashley said he's got Fernand third as well, and I think James, you have Fernand third as well, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay, cool. So you've all got similar top threes. All right, cool. So you're all in good company here. Fourth, please, Cam.
Fourth, the human pitbull that is Carlos Tevez.
Woo!
That guy was, listen, as a United fan, I know what he brought to Manchester United. He was part of.
You know what he brought to him as well. So
yeah. I mean, exactly. Yeah. I always say I think that was Ferguson's biggest mistake in my time as a fan. Letting Carlos Tevez go and then end up going to Manchester City. That was the beginning of the end for me, anyway. But I just think he's such a good player in terms of everything we were just saying about Suarez and Agüero. You can pretty much say about Tevez as well. He had just this tenacity. He wouldn't let you rest. He can go past you. He can score long. He can score close. He had the intelligence in the box. He was such a good player. And it's not only that, is his overall game as well. Because you look at his numbers, they might not be as good as an Agüero. They might not be as good as a Suarez. But he was very similar to a way how Wayne Rooney was, where you just put him on the pitch and let him play. Put him on the pitch, let him play. He'll pop up right wing, left wing, up top, centre mid, wherever. He was just such an immense player. And in letting him go and eventually going to Man City, he kickstarted this dynasty that we see now. He kickstarted all of it. Him scoring 20-something goals in the league and winning the Golden Boot and sending them into the Champions League. That's where it all began. That's how they got the Agüeros, and then they go on and be the team they are. I just think, same with what James said, he could take free kicks as well. And I think at Man United, he was eventually fell into an undervalued stage. The fact that Man United did not want to pay 25 million for Carlos Tevez. Now, when you look back at it, what an error. What an error. Imagine Wayne Rooney and Carlos Tevez for a couple more years. It would have been unbelievable. So for me, Carlos Tevez, and I actually think he's another one where it's just like overlooked a little bit, but at his peak, honestly, unbelievable player. So I've got to have him in the top 5, and I've got him at number 4.
Ash, what are you saying?
Exactly the same guy. All the same reasons. You know what I appreciate? I appreciate being a centre half, a striker that is as good as what we're talking about, but gets after it as well. So does work for the team. Doesn't just rely on I'm so good that I can just walk around and then pull something out of the bag. Yeah, you probably can, but if you can add that work ethic, and it's like you said, Cam, like this, Tevez could play right or left back and be one of the best right or left backs in the league. I honestly believe that. It's just a baller. It's just a straight up football. That's him, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like so intelligent, technical, like abilities. It's just so similar to Suarez. I think that they just live and breathe it. Is what they was probably doing from when they was a baby, and they're just. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is for them, the opponent, whatever, they're gonna get after it. I got the same Carlos Tevez.
Did you have any nightmares playing against him?
Nah, because to be honest, I don't think I played against him.
It was on the back end. It was on the back end.
Yeah. I don't think I played against him, but obviously just watching the guy, that's the type of guy I like. That's the type of player I want to watch anyway. I want to watch one where if I'm with my son and I'm trying to show him, look what this player does, and he's also working hard for the team, and he's also doing a bit of someone else's running, and he's pressing the defender regardless, and they're just relentless and they're at it for 90 minutes. That's the type of striker that I want in my team or that I want to watch.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, as a United fan, sorry, George, as a United fan, there's so many games where Man United will be labouring through the game. And the thing that kick-started Man United's performance is Tevez. He'll press the keeper. He'll press the centre-half. They'll lose the ball. And all of a sudden, the Old Trafford fans, they get up for it. And now, all of a sudden, the players want to play. But that all started from Tevez just initiating that. And these are things that get overlooked. But honestly, unbelievable player, man.
I agree.
Mate, do you know what's mad? I'm not even looking to be boring. I was just looking at the list and I was like, I can't have the same top four as Ashley, surely. I can't.
Yeah.
And then I was just looking at the names and no one goes above Carlos, mate. No one in that list for me goes above Carlos. I don't think. I went for Fernandinho higher in my list for similar reasons to what Cam's chosen for higher than his. I went with Suarez because of how good he was in that individual time. Tevez at whatever club he had in the Premier League was just that level. So without trying to go on roundabouts and repeat what the other two boys just said, he was really good at footy, weren't he? Really good at footy. So fair play to him.
Yeah. Fifth choice. This is. I thought there was going to be a bit more disruption here, but it looks like people have got a bit of a brain here, so that's all well and good. Cam's, your fifth choice, please.
Fifth choice. This is. I don't know if people are going to agree with this one, but again, I think it's a player that was overlooked. It was tough for me because I loved Alexis Sanchez. I thought he was a dog. You know what I mean? Another one. These South Americans, man, they got something different about it. They're bite. But I'm going with the Invincible, man, Gilberto Silva. I'm going with Gilberto Silva. That's
sorry, before you carry on.
I think Gilberto again. I think Gilberto again is another one who's important.
He's going for it.
I think Gilberto is another one whose qualities were overlooked for a long period. You look at the Henrys, Perez, Bergkamp and stuff, and Vieira, of course. But there was Gilberto Silva beside him that made such a good unit and made us. That's one of the reasons Arsenal were invincible, because there was such a unit. Each banks of four were solid every single time. And Gilberto was that one that would be screening, cutting out play, giving the simple balls. He's not going to pop up a match of the day. He's not, because he's just going to do his job and go home. Do you know what I mean? But I think his overall contribution is another one. I think we're talking about one of the best defensive midfielders, in my opinion, in the Premier League. I could have went with the exciting option of Alexis Sanchez or Firmino, Coutinho, but I look at people that are integral to winning sometimes, and I think Gilberto is another one who I think Fernandinho surpassed that level, in my opinion, but I do think Gilberto was so key to Invincible. And not only that, 2002 as well. And let's not forget, this guy's a World Cup winning centre mid, man, starting every game. Like, let's not talk like Gilberto is just some average fellow. He was.
Yeah, you got to be dangerous with that, because some of these World Cup winners, man, when they come to the Premier League, they be looking different. Ask Varane, ask Clever.
Yeah, you know, and Gilberto, he got it done, didn't he? Innit?
Yeah, he got it done. I respect it.
I think I'm going Gilberto. I remember when Vieira left as well. And Gilberto started getting forward a little bit more. He started being a little bit more box to box. I think he scored 11 goals in the Premier League or something like that from in a box to box role. So I think he's a top player. Probably not as exciting as people would have liked to see, but I'm going Gilberto Silva, man.
Ashley?
Boy, you might have convinced me to change my list there.
What the heck, bro?
Persuasion. The persuasion.
Come on.
Nah, do you know why? Because I kind of overlooked Gilberto Silva a little bit. And then when you was chatting, I was like, well, I might have to put a little bit more respect on
Who's your original?
He gets forgotten. No, I'm sticking with my original, though.
Okay, cool.
And this one's for me. This one, I know not everyone's going to like. But this one's for me. And that is David Luiz. That is David Luiz. I'm going to tell you why.
He's first in at Chelsea. Go on, Ash. Go on.
Yeah, no, because at the start, as a centre-half that likes the football, I appreciated him a lot. And when I played against him, the guy's massive for starters. So I'm marking him on the corner. He's massive. He's strong. He's quicker than you think. So he doesn't really get beat in a foot race. He can tackle. He can do all the defending bits. I think he's good. Good in the air. Defends his box well, which probably in my generation was a given, but it's not really a given now. You look at goals scored in finals, Champions League finals. You look at the World Cup. I guarantee there's goals scored just from bad defending on crosses, for example, which doesn't get spoken about or worked on anymore. This is a guy that could defend his box well. But then when you're playing against him, he's picking out passes long, short, splitting the line, right, left foot. Like he can play with the football as well. And he come across as a bit of a joker. So I feel like because he wasn't a centre half that was like someone out of 300 and he was living and dying for the cause all the time and all of that. Maybe we didn't take him so seriously. But me personally, as another centre half, he's someone that I would watch and enjoy watching because I feel that he could do both sides of the game. So that's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But for me, he's a player that I really enjoyed playing against and watching.
But my question is about David Luiz. Yeah, I loved Luiz, by the way, because with everything you said in terms of the way he was on the ball, I think he was amazing. But there was always a question mark over David Luiz. And I think with some of the names that are on the list and our top 5, for example, they're kind of untouchable names. Like they left with no question marks over them. I feel like Luiz will always be looked at in this country with a question mark over his head.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that at all. I get it. He left himself open for the criticism a little bit and the conversation to be there. Whereas I get what you're saying. The others are not in doubt at all. But that's why I said at the start, this is one's for me. Like this one's for me. That's my pick. That's my guy. And I understand he's not for everyone, and he'd make some silly mistakes sometimes, as everyone would. But his were sometimes big, and as I say, sometimes it looked like he weren't taking it serious enough for us. For especially, in Britain, we want our centre halves to be serious and go to war and battle, and he didn't come with that energy at all. But I think for me, it was one that I just enjoyed, man. I just loved to watch him. His range of passing, his footwork, just the way he would side foot it 60 yards at pace, through lines, through gaps, and pick out the man's side foot. And then you put his free kicks in it, technical ability. I just personally enjoyed it, but I don't disagree with what you're saying. Like when some of the names on the list, that's why when you argued the case for Gilberto, I was like, yeah, that's my guy as well, man. I forgot. But David Luiz is my 5th pick.
Fez.
James.
Hello, fam. Do you know what? Do you know one of my biggest pet hates in footy is goalkeepers don't really get enough recognition. Do you know when it comes to the top,
in the conversation?
Do you know when it comes to top 5? And do you know when it comes to Ballon d'Ors, Cams, just because you wouldn't want your kid to be a goalkeeper doesn't mean it's not cool to be a Van der Sar. It's still cool to be a Van. For instance, if your dad was Schmeichel, that's a cool thing. You know what I mean? He might be a goalkeeper and he might have been the unpopular kid at school, but it's still cool that he ended up being a boss goalkeeper. In my opinion, just to make it a little bit more spicy, plus, do I want my top 5 to be the same as any of yours? No, mate, I'm here to create combo. Alisson. Alisson for me, because it falls down. Hang on, what are you, Cams? What's the matter?
Alisson.
What's the matter?
No way, man.
What's the matter? You don't like goalkeepers?
What was that?
So you're not into your goalkeepers, my mate?
Nah, mate. Goalkeepers.
Oh no, don't worry about it. It's not like one of the most important positions on the pitch, but no, fair enough. Don't you worry. It was out of Ederson and Alisson, really, and I think Alisson edges Ederson. I think it's quite close, but in terms of what he's done, the amount of Golden Gloves that he's won, the amount of vital saves that he makes for Liverpool, the amount of vital saves that he makes in the Champions League, how good he was at Roma, falls into it because not many people were talking about it. It was a big price tag, obviously. That falls into a factor, and he lived up to the price tag and more. And I think, it might only be one Premier League, that's granted, so maybe on the achievement side of things, he hasn't got a great argument, but the one thing that he does have is performances week in, week out, and arguably, his style of goalkeeping, in my opinion, is the most difficult, because he's got so many one-on-ones that he has to deal with. That's probably the hardest part for a goalkeeper. Now, I'm not a goalkeeper, so what would I know? But one-on-ones, just think about it. There's one fella there, and there's one fella here who's got to cover a whole goal. I'm not being funny or not, and it's probably a difficult job to keep him out, and he makes himself look absolutely massive. And he is actually the main reason why Liverpool get to play in a system which ends up reaching them 92 points or 97 points. They do that through him because they can trust that if this high line that we've got does get beaten, then we've got him. You've got him to worry about, and that's the most important. I think stylistically, there's not many goalkeepers like him ever. And on top of that, I think the way he executes the role that he has in the system is absolutely massive. And it's why I'm going to put him in the top 5, lads.
I can't have a goalie in the top 5. I'm sorry. I don't even know why.
You wouldn't let a goalkeeper win the Ballon d'Or?
You wouldn't let... Nah, man.
You wouldn't let the goalkeeper win the Ballon d'Or?
No, that'll be a disaster. When the goalkeeper wins the Ballon d'Or, we got to pack up the sport. I'm telling you now, the sport is finished. If a goalkeeper wins the Ballon d'Or, it's finished. I swear to you. How can we have a goalie over Coutinho, Zaba, Sanchez? No, that's not right, man. That's not right.
So goalkeepers aren't playing. Joel, I don't know if you knew this, and Ashley, you played in the Premier League, my mate. You might have not knew this in your time in the dressing room either. Goalkeepers don't count. So
hey, they should have their own category. Their own category.
Listen,
it's just not
fair. None of your South American goalkeepers.
My question to you is: if you were to taken away from who was close to have made your list, real quickly, can you quickly run us down who do you reckon was close? I mean, you mentioned Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez would have been close. Like, he would have been next for me. David Luiz as well. Coutinho for his brilliance. Firmino as well. And I know Mascherano wasn't
the longest time. Why are you guys rating Willian? I don't understand.
Good workhorse. Didn't score enough goals for his talent.
I'm sorry. I think he's period at Chelsea in the beginning. At some points, you know what I mean? Like, he was their main factor.
Joel,
do you know what I'm saying?
Joel, he weren't better than Coutinho, though, for instance.
Yeah, if you look at peak Coutinho and peak Willian, I agree. Do you know what I mean?
Chelsea fans have more love for Gus Poyet than Willian. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man.
That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one.
Hey, do you know one of them names? I don't think that none of us have mentioned, but I had to really think about it. Is Antonio Valencia? Have we mentioned him?
Yeah, no. He's on the list.
If you're talking about just consistent good pros, this guy's up there. Week in, week out, whatever position, absolute athlete, gets the job done. Yeah, I feel like we can't. Okay, it's the same thing you were saying earlier. He's not going to make a Insta reel for a trick or something, but he's going to defend his back stick. He's going to score goals. He's going to put good quality crosses in. He's going to be where he's supposed to be at all times. I think that's the kind of pro that you should be looking at as well.
Yeah,
I mean, Fergie made him captain without him being able to speak English. So that explains how much of a good pro he was. You know what I mean?
Anyone else, Ash? So you're saying you're looking at Valencia might have made the list. Anyone else that you think might have snuck in?
No, I think we've covered them. I can't put Forlan in there. I can't put Oscar in there. No, Coutinho. I think I'm surprised Coutinho hasn't made somebody's list because he was different gear. I think, especially in that 1 year. No, I think listen, you got three fellas on there, and we all got the same 1 to 4. So so we must be right about something like that.
I was like, we've done all right here, haven't we? Yeah.
Anyone else, James, that you might want to? Who would be next?
You know what, my mate? Alexis Sanchez was someone who I was pretty much nailed on to put fifth, and then it would have been Coutinho. But you've got so many names on there. Like, honestly, mate, even Gilberto Silva was someone who I was thinking about. So I'm happy with the top 5 that we ended up getting. Some good shouts, though. Some really good shouts. I just thought I'd show some love for my goalkeepers, man.
Hey, listen, you ain't done nothing wrong there. Guys, thank you very much for watching our top 5 South American Premier League players ever. Let us know your comments. And yeah, man, who's wrong? Who's right? You let us know. Got here, Culture Cams, James Redmond, Ashley Williams. All their details will be in the description. And we will be back soon with another debate. Peace.